Hi there, this is Marty Wilson, and I wanted to share a little something with you. I am putting this video together from the Phoenix, Arizona area, obviously in the United States, and I am hoping that you will get involved and help me distribute these little hearts throughout the nation and also the world. When I say distribute, I mean share with your friends, share with like-minded people, but more importantly, share with people who are at odds with how you feel things are going politically and economically. We have to maintain hope for our country. Our country is a big player around the world. I don't think that's just ethnocentric of me to believe that. It looks like we have a very huge military compared to everyone else's. And we have a lot to say around the world. So I am hoping that come January 20th, 2017, which is our country's inauguration, I'm hoping that enough people will recognize that 3/4 of the nation, that is people who did not vote Republican or people who didn't vote at all, so we're not quite sure what they would have voted, but only a little over 1/4 of our country voted Republican. There are some unusual situations that have happened recently, and I think it would be safe to say that there's a possibility of a huge change in laws, and also we're already seeing in frames of mind how people treat each other. These hearts are a symbol of our desire to be more at peace with each other, to be more inclusive and more loving. Now, normally speaking, if someone is trying to do something where everybody does it as well, of course you have to buy them or whatever. But the idea of sharing these hearts have to do with the fact that they are very, very easy to make and they're inexpensive. They're as low as 30 cents a piece once you finish them, painted and everything, to as high as 90 cents a piece if you don't end up making a whole lot of hearts. I have a materials list, and I will use this video to give you instructions on how to make the hearts. So let's begin with just a little overview of why we might want to do this. Lately, some people have been emboldened to do things that show that they define the world as a frightening, limited, scary place. They are afraid of people who think different than themselves, so they put signs on their cars or actually tell people that they are less than profound. They do things to show that they don't believe that the United States should be inclusive of a variety of different groups. You know all about that. There's no reason to go through it here, but I do want to say that the integrity that we bring to our lives is extremely important, and these hearts are just a simple physical manifestation of what is going on in our real hearts. So these symbols, as you probably know, this symbol of the heart has been around for many centuries, and actually 5 centuries. Wikipedia talks about how the heart was first drawn and considered actually more like foliage. But once it was drawn red, it's been a number of centuries where it's believed that it was a heart. So we do not want anyone to divide and conquer our nation, calling people names, doing things that make it difficult to find common ground. Establishing negativity as the norm is not something that we want in our country. The hearts represent a desire to establish friendship, love, and affection in the country. It also helps to exemplify the fact that we do not want to just sit around and do nothing when we see people hurting other people. It's very important, clearly, things have changed. It's very important, clearly, that we need to speak up in one way or the other. And sometimes, I frankly admit that it would be very difficult to speak up. And sometimes just knowing that other people think like us, other people care like us, and even those people who appear not to care like us, there is a human element of compassion and caring, even if it is under behind the veil of fear and trying to divide. Your feelings are not insignificant. Who you are is significant. And a lot of times people who don't necessarily have power at work or even in the family structure or even when you go around town, it sometimes feels difficult to feel that you are empowered. The hearts can give you an opportunity to very clearly demonstrate the fact that you do have substance. You do have something to share. Now, there's 3 different types of people we'd like to share the hearts with, and then the 4th group would be just share it with yourself. So we start with, I think, the most important one, and this is why I was inspired to share the hearts with the world, because I've been working with them for over 4 years now. But to share the hearts with the world, I particularly thought that sharing them with someone who is mocking you or someone who claims that you are insignificant is a way for you to share the fact that you believe in a more concrete way that ultimately love conquers all. So obviously this is not anything but a symbol. But if people were to see these blanket the world, given to friends, given to people who aren't feeling comfortable with our beliefs, then they will recognize that there's more of us who feel this strongly about love and caring. So the first one would be, obviously, be careful. You don't want to try to share it with someone who's threatening you too aggressively. You might just set it on a counter. If someone's being aggressive with you in the grocery store, just set it on the counter and share it with them. There's a variety of different things you can do. Obviously, someone in the family, whatever, and just say in a heartfelt way from your heart that you wish them well and you are hoping that ultimately our country can come back to a more normal stance. It is not normal to be fearful, hateful, mock people, deride people, pass laws that exclude all groups, certain groups. That's not normal. We don't want to have a new normal where things are accepted. All right. Now, and of course, sharing with someone of like mind is very important as well. You're saying, I understand how you feel, and I care about you, and I'm here. Now, the 3rd group would be people that are less fortunate than you. People who might be handicapped, people who might be orphans, people who might be in jail, people who might be elderly and slowing down. Obviously, many of the elderly are as robust as the rest of us, So, but some need our love and support. And then finally, if you have hearts, have extra, you can keep them for yourself and put them on a dresser or a table, put them somewhere where you can see them, and write the name of someone you care about on the back. And think of each heart. As you make each heart kind of has a personality of its own. So as you pick a name for each heart so that you can look at it and think about your loved one or someone that you're having a hard time of forgiving, you can put that on your counter or your dresser, or in some cases people already have altars, and have those hearts represent the people that you would like to hold in your heart. We need to be active. We cannot give. We need to remain active. We can't give implied consent to people who are hurting other people. I understand that sometimes it's hard to tell if someone is actually hurting another person. It's important for us to try to find the common ground so that we know when to act and when to recognize that something isn't quite as dire as it might at first appear. The hearts, if people chance upon them quite frequently, and again, it's a wonderful thing that we support each other and share them, but more important than that, before the inauguration, it would be fantastic if there were more representations of our affection for each other, and the hearts were found throughout the country and in places around the world where people are very concerned for us. The hearts, again, help to establish an infrastructure of level-headed, love-filled, integrity-filled lives, people who support a government by voting, by assisting in passing laws as best we can as either regular citizens or others. That infrastructure is supported by this manifestation of our lives. So, today is Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is Black Friday. If possible, you will have an opportunity to see the materials list, and you will have the instructions here on this video. If possible, go ahead and say to yourself, I will devote 2 hours to getting 10 or 20 of the hearts done. There is a little time for drying and that type of thing, so you might not be able to share them on Black Friday. But if possible, if you could put 2 hours into getting the process going, I promise you it will not be that difficult. If you are not a very crafty person, this will be an opportunity for you to take a look inside and see if you feel comfortable being a part of a movement of sharing something in this fashion. So you might get over your fear of making the hearts if you're not very crafty, but just look at it this way. If you've ever made cookies, that's pretty much the same thing. You're going to mix the plaster with a flexible compound, a flexible patch, and then you're going to have water. So you mix it together, and then you have like a cookie dough, and then you roll it out, and then you make the hearts themselves. I will show you how to do that. If you feel that someone else in the family or someone else you know might do better at making the hearts, go ahead and ask them to make them. Maybe you can provide the supplies and they can make them. The hearts end up being anywhere from 30 cents a piece to 90 cents. You might, and with this amount of supplies here, you'll be able to make about 100 of them. And I think that you'll find in your day-to-day activity, you would like to have 100 or so, because by the time you share them with friends, family, people you know well, or people at work, like-minded people, and then also people you'd like to make a stand and say, I'm not in the shadows. I believe that my concern for this country is such that I'd like you to have this heart. And I'm hoping you recognize I care about you. So at any rate, there could be a number of people you would like to share the hearts with. So let me just close this part of our little time together with asking, when we look at problems in the United States or even around the world, let's ask ourselves, first, define the problem. What is the problem? And then second, ask ourselves who profits from these problems. And ask ourselves how we can support others who might help us either find the problem, or who might give us solutions, or who might help us in other ways. So if it's companies that profit from the division in our country, try not to support them. If it's people who profit from the division in our country, try not to support them. We go far together. Democracy is always a messy situation. There's always going to be some conflict, but it is the greatest system that we as humans have on this planet. We have enjoyed many great freedoms, and we want to keep them. So, without further ado, here are the hearts. And also, just one other thing I might mention is, if you wanted to listen to this first part again, or even look at the instructions, there is a way that you can speed up the video on YouTube. Kind of Google that, look into how you can do that. I often watch videos at a minute, at 1 1/4 times speed or 1 1/2 times speed. That kind of helps me get through everything. I know your day is very busy, and we want to make sure you can get out and get these made. So as a call to action, this is a symbol or simply a physical manifestation of your concern for your dear country and your concern for the world. This will have wonderful ramifications in the world. Thank you so much for joining us in getting these little guys made. Again, not that hard. We can get them done. Thank you so much. So this is the plaster of Paris. This is water, and this is the elastomeric custom flexible patch. Now, you will use this with the little caulk gun, and of course, obviously, you might check another video if you've never used one of these to see how to use them. I'm not going to take the time to work with that. It's not a big deal. Just snip off the end of your custom patch, the flexible elastomeric patch, or buy this. This is kind of hard to find anymore. So I'm not going to mention the price of everything now. Look at the sheet when you take the time to start on this. Now, one of the things that will be helpful to you is a Facebook group we have. And you can find me on Facebook via the video link. All right, so see, now I've put a good amount. People might want strong feelings about how much to use. So here, this looks like about 3 tablespoons. And again, it'll be to some degree how much how much you'd like to make. Now right now I used about a half a cup of water. So the important thing is to make a slurry. You want this totally blended in with the water. Okay, so let me take a second to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so you have the consistency of maybe milk and maybe kind of close to cream. So go ahead and get that blended together. And again, the cool thing is this does not have to be perfect. If you've got some, just little remains of clumps or whatever of the patch, then don't worry about it. It's all going to mix in with your plaster of Paris. And again, the sheet with what to buy is all clarified for you. You'll see that in the notes at the bottom of the YouTube video. Now, the other thing, you would use this or the gun with the patch, and you would just put in, again, about 3 tablespoons, which, by the way, you don't want to make a ton. If you say to yourself, I just got to make a ton of these things because I've got lots to share, don't go much bigger than this little amount here, because the plaster ends up getting kind of hard after a while. So if you end up with a ton, you're going to be working with the plaster, and you don't want to have too much. Now, so see, you notice that I put a good amount of water in there. What did I say? I said a half a cup. I think that's what I did, approximately. Then go ahead and get it mixed pretty nicely. Try to get it thicker, but at this stage, go ahead and get it nice and smooth the best you can. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but actually this is kind of important to get this perfect. Now, sometimes I have a little bit of stuff with, that was probably the tip of something. So kind of feel in it and see if there's something that you want to remove. Now, I'm going to be just using my hands. Other than drying your hands out a little bit, this isn't going to hurt you. It is, again, just plaster of Paris and the patch. People are working all the time. So you see, I got that pretty smooth. Now I'm going to get some more in there. So my instructions would be that you do half of it with the plaster of Paris and then put more in. Now, as you can imagine, what we're shooting for is a amount that will make it like a cookie dough. Okay, now we have it starting to combine, and you might have noticed I'm going to push off a little bit because I'm running out of the plaster of Paris here. I definitely need more. So we got our little ball here started. Now what I'm going to do, but I know you guys want to see how it goes, I'm going to get more plaster, and I'm going to show you how it works with your hands while you're getting it ready to smooth out on the your board. And you can use an old tile, you can use cardboard, whatever, and so you can smooth that out on there. And then we're going to cut it similar to cookies. So just 1 second. Okay, I've got more plaster now, And I will pour that on that. And this is a part that you need to finesse a little bit. So I can see here that I've got everything ready to kind of stick together. Now, as you can see, I'm going to prepare my board, again, like making cookies. And I'm also going to have my water here and my plaster, because you will need to work with it until it's the kind of consistency that will stick together. Your patch is what's sticking it together. For the sake of time, I'm just going to set this to one side. But normally you'd get all of that together. So get your hands in the plaster, and you're going to get a little bit going on. Now, this isn't the kind of thing like bread or whatever where you're going to knead it. You won't be kneading it. It doesn't do that. You're just going to go back and forth with the between the water and the plaster of Paris. So you notice I'm being kind of not very neat. It's, again, not something that has to be perfect. So I'll show you one other system. You want to always have a rag with you, and you're going to find, see, I got my rings on. It's not going to hurt anything. I would take your rings off if you were working on it. So I'm going to get a little something, and I'll be right back. All right. So again, you're just going back and forth between the water and the plaster of Paris. You'll kind of feel where you're at. Now, you might want to use a rolling pin, either one that you feel comfortable giving up to this process, or it's easy to wash off the plaster, so some people aren't going to be quite as concerned and will go ahead and use it for food afterwards. The plaster is not going to hurt anything if you get it off of there. Now, as you can see, again, like sugar cookies, you've got the rolling pin that's going to help you roll it out and get a little flatter. So that's really nice for the size of the hearts. Okay, now we're really in a lot of ways almost done. Well, the shaping of the hearts is one of the things that is going to be very unique to you. Now notice I'm going for a circle here. Okay, and again, notice how big the circle is. You saw that I put the amount of plaster has to do with how much slurry you have. And the slurry starts with, as I said, about 3 tablespoons of the elastomeric flexible patch. Okay? And the one that is in the tube, like a caulk, is grainier than the one in the quart. And then also, I'm not quite sure, there might not, there might be a, well, they seem to discontinue some of the quart sizes at Home Depot. You're going to be able to find these products at Lowe's or Home Depot or your local home improvement center or your lumber store, lumber yard. You really want to wear a dust mask. All right, so my camera went off, and time-wise, we just have to go ahead and move forward. So all I did was I got it kind of smooth, then I cut it again like a pizza. You can do 3 cuts, so you end up with 6 hearts here, or you can do 4, so you end up with a little more elongated hearts, and they're a little less thick. Now, of course, width-wise, this is thicker, this is a little more elongated. All right, so we only have a brief amount of time, so what I'm going to do is just show you your plastic knife is extremely important. Now, what you didn't see because the video went off is that all I do is, let me make sure that you can see this. All I do is take the corners off my triangle. The triangle already is kind of rounded at the top, right? It's like a corn chip or a pizza. So I just slice here, get in here with my plastic knife and cut out a little triangle. So you can see I have the beginnings of my heart. Now then the magic just comes. The cool part is this is not so difficult in that the magic comes with your knife, and you just keep shaping it, your fingers and your knife, and adding water. In some cases you might add a little bit of the patch, excuse me, not patch, a little bit of the plaster. Okay, you get that looking nice, and there you go. You do them all, then you have them, right? And you let them dry, either sitting on your tile or cardboard or whatever, or you can pick them up and put them on, they're really quite sturdy. You can pick them up and put them on a, like a baking rack. And one of the things I do want to say is go ahead and get them nice and rounded. You notice I've done this one. Let's look at another one. Actually, this one I had you can see it's a flatter piece. So I started with less plaster. So again, yours will end up looking like something that's really unique to you. Just want to say also, you guys might be saying, come on, Marty, why don't you just use a cookie cutter, a heart cookie cutter? Go ahead, if that's what you would like to do and you find one, go ahead and do that. I think these will look a little more personal. Okay, so you have your, see, it holds together quite nicely. The thickness of it is going to vary by what you would like to do and just kind of what feels good for you. You might round the sides really nicely as you shape it for your ultimate little heart. So now we've got that. Now you will want to dry it. You can just dry it overnight, either sitting on your tile or your cardboard or whatever you happen to have that you're working on, and that's fine. But you might want to speed it up by getting it on a rack so that it can air dry from the back as well. And then you have your heart. Now, what I have here are some hearts that are not done for the next step. You will notice there's a big difference actually between some of these hearts and the others. For instance, let's just look at this. This one is a lot grainier right here. This one's a lot smoother. What I did to make it smoother was I just simply sandpapered it. So I sanded it down with good old-fashioned sandpaper, and please use your mask when you do that. Okay, so I have a little bit of sandpaper, And what you're going to do is you want to get a pretty gritty sandpaper and then a more smooth sandpaper. And you're going to need to go to town with it a bit and really sand it, the edges, round it off a bit. This is going to take a little while, not a ton, depending upon, you know, how you would like yours to look. They can look extremely cool if they have a little bit of grit to them or something. They don't have to be perfect. They're also really cool if they're sanded nicely as well. So there you go with that. Then again, now it's ready to paint. You sanded it, maybe sand it on the back a little bit because you might put something on the back like this. I've used the metallic Sharpie pen and just put down "We Choose Love." It's not real fancy looking. You can make yours fancier. I would probably use something else as well that's really cute, but that's fine. You can do that, and again, you can do people's names. You can do all kinds of things. Don't put "I forgive you" and then give it to someone. I think that they would have a little bit of a problem with that. But we do, as a group, choose love. All right, so we've got the little guy. He's in good shape. Now what we do, and you can see, I'm actually going to take this to a Thanksgiving party. And once I'm done here, and the rest of us, we're going to make these and get a number made. Now you notice that I've got like some pretty ugly stuff here, like an old spoon. You definitely want your shaping tool, which is a plastic knife. That's going to be a big thing for you. Also cans, that type of thing. And you'll notice that what I would do then is I put my sanded hearts on either a can or a sauce container. And why do I do that? As you can imagine, I take my spray, and again, just any kind of spray paint, a nice bright red. There are some automotive kinds. Again, you'll see that on the list here. There are some suggestions on what you might buy as well. You might take a screenshot of that, or you'll have the PDF available to you, and there will be links to that in the bottom of the YouTube file. So, as you can imagine, we just take that, we spray paint it, and again, you might find another YouTube video that tells you how to spray paint, and that's just simply, obviously, wear your mask. Seriously, you just really need to. And the reason why we're on a can like this, up like this, is so that we can spray paint it all around the sides. You might not want to spray paint it on the bottom, or you might want to. It's whatever you want. And then you can end, and this is not necessarily something you have to do. There's also acrylic finishing sprays for artists that you could use, but then you go ahead and spray it after you've sprayed the red. Make sure you give yourself maybe 3 coats. That's definitely the big thing about spray painting, is you don't figure you're going to get it done in 1 coat. You do 3 smaller coats, excuse me, lighter coats. Okay, and then you get those done. Use your Sharpie or whatever pen to put whatever really nice thing you want to put on the back. If they're too small, you might not have enough room to put a whole lot. But here you go. It's that easy. Something that you can get done. The things that I didn't mention on the materials list might be plastic fork, plastic spoon, a little to-go cups, bowls, or whatever that you can use. Nothing has to be perfect. You can use a tile, grab that from somewhere. The sandpaper is definitely on the materials list because you would be lost without it. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments in the bottom of the YouTube video. Again, We have a Facebook website, excuse me, a Facebook page called The Hearts Project.